Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Check one. Check, 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 check. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Boy, do we have a show in store for you today. We're going to be talking with the probably newest member of the Grand Ole Opry. T. Graham Brown is going to join us and tell us about his new album, From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. That's coming up a little bit later on. Boy, what a week. Or weekend for President Biden. What do you think as things have changed since the last time we spoke? Is he going to remain in? You have Jerry Nadler and others calling for his ouster. We have breaking news that he met with a Parkinson's disease specialist in the White House recently. We have just story. Oh, he had that interview with George Stephanopoulos, which really did nothing to calm anybody's worry about the president. But he seems reluctant. He seems as if he is going to stay in the race. We're going to take a look at what that means. If he does drop out, I should say, that means Kamala Harris most likely. But there could be a primary. We're going to get to all that and much more. But as always, you see the number on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to weigh in at any time on any of the topics. As I mentioned, a top Washington, D.C. Parkinson's disease specialist had a meeting with President Biden earlier this year, according to visitors' logs. Dr. Kevin Kennard, a Parkinson's disease expert at Walter Reed Medical Center, met with Dr. Kevin O'Connor and two others at the White House Residence Clinic on January 17th, according to the records. Dr. John E. Atwood, a cardiologist at Walter Reed, was also at the meeting. Now, this could mean nothing. Could just be a meeting of these experts. But it does raise some red flags. And then we saw I don't know if you saw this, but it was on the New York Post this morning. Staffers for President Biden provided him with instructions in large print and photos of venue interiors and his planned path of entry ahead of events the 81-year-old commander-in-chief attends. So basically a how to enter and exit a room with large prints and pictures. Documents obtained by Axios on Sunday show how staff help guide Biden, including his specific path to the podium when he appears at a function. The report comes as a Democrat faces relentless questions about whether he is fit for the Oval Office after that awful debate performance. Now, that's what's so interesting. This all comes from that debate. So you've got to ask the question. I know we brought this up last week. Who decided? Was it Dr. Jill? Who decided to let him on the debate stage, knowing how he's been behaving? And again, we've been talking about this for a while, questioning his mental fitness. But the media said, no, you're just a conspiracy theorist. You can't focus on that. There's nothing to see here. And then the world saw it on that debate performance. And now you have major Democrats. Remember, if you recall, when we first started talking about this, we said if an Obama or a Pelosi turn on him, that could be it. And behind the scenes, it sounds like Obama may be questioning Biden's run. Nancy Pelosi saying, was this just an episode or is this common practice? Now, again, they all know. They're all around him. Did you even see, this is a weird one, that Philadelphia radio station where this happened, I want to say around July 4th. So this lady interviews the president and says afterwards that she got the questions, I think it was 8 questions, something like that, to ask him. The White House gave it to her specifically. When she brought that up, the radio station has now fired her after she admitted to asking President Biden questions that were supplied to her by his team. Andrea Lawful Sanders, who previously hosted The Source on WURD, scored the first post-debate interview with Biden last Wednesday. However, on Saturday, she revealed to CNN that, first of all, with Victor Blackwell is the name of the show, that she was fed the questions by Biden's team and used 4 of them as her own questions, acting as if they were her own. Sarah Lomax, WURD's president, said Sunday that she was not involved in negotiations for the interview. The interview featured predetermined questions provided by the White House, which violates our practice of remaining an independent media outlet accountable to our listeners. As a result, Ms. Lawful Sanders and WURD Radio have mutually agreed to part ways effective immediately. Wow. WURD is the only black-owned and run talk radio station in Pennsylvania. Many observers were surprised that the White House was involved in crafting questions for our campaign interview. WURD Radio has cultivated that trust with our audience over our 20-year history. This is something we take very seriously. Agreeing to a predetermined set of questions jeopardizes that trust. All right. And I guess that interview didn't even go that well. This is getting very, very interesting. It almost seems, again, I asked this question, does it almost feel like any moment you're going to see a breaking news alert that he isn't going to run? Kamala Harris over the weekend really giving more of a campaign speech as if she was running. I think only mentioning Biden's name once. It is getting very interesting. Gavin Newsom kind of running again, like he was before, a shadow campaign, giving a kind of a stump speech. And then you've even got kind of these talking heads like David Axelrod, who was very important to Barack Obama's campaign. David Axelrod wrote a piece, which we're going to get to here in just a moment, called Biden's Defiant Delusion. I think, and I mentioned this last week, really Biden's legacy to Democrats is that he defeated Trump. So if he were to lose to Trump, and George Stephanopoulos kind of asked him this question, just to word it a little different, but what if you lose to Trump? And his answer was something like, well, as long as I gave it my all and tried my hardest, and Democrats coming out and say that isn't good enough. So David Axelrod said, and this was, let's see, this came out the 6th, but I wanted to pass it along to you in case you missed it. Early in the interview, ABC's George Stephanopoulos asked President Biden if he had watched his disastrous debate, which was a really weird response. I don't know if you saw it. Biden said, I don't think I did, no. Biden could be excused for wanting to put his awful debate performance in the rearview mirror. That was his purpose Friday in sitting down for the interview, to try and quell the panic amongst the Democrat Party. He did not succeed, says David Axelrod. To be sure, the president turned in a more energetic performance than he had on that woeful debate night, when he sometimes appeared lost and incoherent. In the interview, he touted his record and assailed Trump's character in a fashion his supporters had hoped he would do on the debate stage. But on the big question that now threatens his campaign, whether he still has the stamina and mental acuity to serve for 4 more years in the world's toughest job, the 81-year-old president offered little reassurance beyond a proud recitation of his impressive, remember, this is David Axelrod, still Democrat, impressive first-term accomplishments. What exactly happened to him at the most consequential debate of his political life? Biden offered multiple explanations: a bad cold, exhaustion, inappropriate prep. Finally, he shrugged. I just had a bad night. I don't know why. And how quickly did it come to you that you were having a bad night? Stephanopoulos asked. Well, it came to me as I was having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And I let it distract me. I realized I wasn't in control. That, in a nutshell, is the Republican attack. That an aged Biden is not in control, and that's why his debate misfire was so devastating. Stephanopoulos asked the president if he would take an independent medical evaluation with the cognitive exams. Isn't it interesting that the media is now just calling for this? Think about it when Trump was in office back in 2016. They were calling for a cognitive test instantly. Again, it goes to show you how they didn't really understand Trump's appeal, because they thought, well, he's talking conservative values. There must be something wrong with him. He's actually trying to do what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail. But anyway, I continue. I take a cognitive test every day, is what Biden said. Maybe, but most Americans have watched him lately would grade him poorly on that score. After the debate, the already robust number of Americans who deemed the president too old to serve another term went up to 74%. Only 42% said the same about Trump, whose own terrible debate performance was eclipsed by Biden's meltdown. That's David Axelrod's point. Do you think, though, that Trump had a terrible debate performance? I mean, I think Trump was very restrained, shown discipline because he saw Biden crumbling, but I guess you have to take that dig in if you're David Axelrod. Just as distressing was Biden's stubborn denial of his public standing and position in a race that he has characterized as an existential battle for the survival of democracy. And that's the point they're making this morning, and Axelrod makes it here. But if you believe that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy, to America as we know it, as they've said over and over again, the threat to democracy, why wouldn't you step aside after that performance? Why wouldn't you? Because remember, it wasn't that long ago that Biden admitted that there were other Democrats out there that could win against Donald Trump. So if there are others, why would you, other than ego, why would you stay in? 3 separate polls conducted by CNN, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal after the debate all showed Biden trailing Trump by 6 points. Previous polls have shown Biden trailing in nearly all battleground states. He narrowly won in 2020. At this rate, Biden is likely headed for a landslide defeat to a lawless and unpopular former president. But when Stephanopoulos confronted him with poll numbers showing him trailing, Biden would have none of it. I don't buy that. I don't think anybody's more qualified to be president or win this race than me. Only the Lord Almighty could persuade him to give up the race, the president said. Denial. This is, again, David Axelrod. Denial, delusion, defiance. When Stephanopoulos asked him how he would feel if he continues and Trump were to win in November, the president, who has told us that this is the most consequential election in our lifetimes, seemed unmoved, saying, quote, I'll feel as long as I gave it my all and did as good a job as I know I can do. That's what this is all about. No, sir, it's not, says David Axelrod. Sometimes the Lord Almighty comes in the form of enlightened self-awareness. The stakes are as great as Biden describes, and if he believes it, as I think he does, he will eventually do what duty and love of country requires, and that's step aside. If he does not, it will be Biden's age and not Trump's moral and ethical void that will dominate the rest of this important campaign and sully the president's historic legacy. And that's the point that they keep making, and this is what we talked about last week, that this will be the end of Biden's legacy if he were to lose. Because his legacy to Democrats is that he defeated Donald Trump. So if he ends up losing, all of that will be erased. So what do you think? What do you think will happen in the next, because it is really the next few days is what it sounds like will be kind of the deciding factor. But we said that last week, and those days ticked away. He tried his best, and it doesn't look like he succeeded in kind of quelling that stress by Democrats. So we're going to talk more about this. As I mentioned, T. Graham Brown is going to be our guest a little bit later on, so you don't want to miss that. We're just getting started. But it's already going fast, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I'm Marianne Kurt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
You can tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Getting so many comments already this morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We've had a couple days off. I hope everybody had a nice July 4th. Okay, let's go to the comments. I hate to put this thought out there. I think he's going to get health concerns, meaning Joe Biden and Kamala will slide in to use the available funds. So I've heard some differing reports, but it sounds like the only one that can use the full funds that they've raised, the full war chest, would be Kamala Harris. Because if the Democrat, the super PAC, or the PAC, excuse me, if they get it, they can only get, $5,000 to each candidate? But the time frame on this, it's so fascinating. But anyway, I'll continue. Then possibly Michelle Obama as VP. Donations will soar. And Dems will be in play for another 8 to 12 years. The only way that I see Trump holding on in that scenario, if it takes place, is if Vivek Ramaswamy ends up as his VP pick. Interesting. He'll need someone as bold as him and as rich as him. Vivek definitely brings youth to the ticket and a little diversity. Thank you very much. Another comment. NFL Philadelphia interview you're speaking about. Biden said that he was proud to be the first black female vice president to serve under a black president. Even with this questions being asked, you still can't comprehend things. And if you think that the woman's let go because of protocol, she was let go. She actually let it be known that the questions were pre-written. And that's a good point. I don't think it was some kind of a moral, ethical, journalistic standard that cost her her job. No, I would agree with you. But Vivek Ramaswamy, interesting. So obviously, didn't we hear rumors that Trump was going to pick his VP as early as last week? So it'll be interesting to see who it's going to be, but they keep pushing. It's going to be earlier than the convention, but the convention's coming right up, less than a month. So now prominent House Democrats want Biden to exit the 2024 race. President Biden faced new calls from prominent Democrats to exit from the race as he hit the campaign trail on Sunday. In a private meeting of senior House Democrats, several attendees said Sunday that they believe Biden should step aside. The members who said they believed he should exit from the race include Jerry Nadler and Joe Morell of New York, Adam Smith of Washington, Jim Himes of Connecticut, and Mark Tanko of California. The developments open a wide crack in Biden's wall of support, bringing the number of House Democrats publicly or privately saying he should step aside to about 10. They include the top Democrats on the Judiciary, Armed Services, and Intelligence Committee. Biden is bleeding support among Democrats and donors despite the president's pledge to remain in the race following that debate, while Vice President Kamala Harris is the clearest path to step up if Biden withdraws from the election. Dissenting Democrats haven't coalesced around a plan to pick a replacement nominee, and several said Sunday that talks of a fill-in nominee were premature. Now, if he does step aside, I mean, so many people have mentioned this, and I do think it's a major concern, that he's still in office. He's still president of the United States until January. So is the health concerns serious enough? And I think it is, that he should be looking at stepping down from president. I don't think he'll do that. We see the ego on full display. And of course, behind the scenes, Jill, of course, and kind of her love of being first lady. So 4 senior House Democrats, including Nadler, joined calls for Biden to drop out. That's coming from Politico. That's like I said, once he started losing support from the big names, because how do these people walk it back? If he decides that he's going to run, and as of right now, all indications are he's going to run, how do a Nadler or something like that can't campaign for him, and when they give any kind of interview, they'll be continuously asked if they still don't support, essentially, Joe Biden. This is interesting. The lack of endorsements from the top Democrats could serve as a major blow to Biden, given the representatives' positions and standing in the party. So what's your predictions on all of this? It has been a very interesting political, week and a half. To think that the debate has only been over, I mean, it's all anybody's talking about. I think that is the only story that I have this morning. Though, luckily, we're going to have T. Graham Brown in on the program to tell us about his new album, From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. So we'll talk about that as well. Talk to him about that as well. I'm not going to ask him about Biden, though. You may remember T. Graham Brown because I think it was last weekend where he gave an interview on Fox News. Did a really good job. I had a lot of people tell me when I mentioned I was going to have this interview, mention that they saw that on Fox News. But we got to take a short break. I don't want to run too late. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Attention. If you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Your is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click Click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-654-6604. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-654-6604. Order now.
Get your buddy and come support our local Wounded Warrior Project. Ride with the Red Knights New York 42 chapter in the 12th annual Bucket Brigade Ride, Saturday, July 13th. Enjoy the 110-mile scenic view with 3 stops along the way while giving back to our wounded warriors. The Bath Volunteer Fire Department will host registration from 8 to 9 a.m. at $15 per person to ride, with the ride taking off at 10 a.m. Enjoy the ride.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Our beautiful view of Market Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for joining us this morning. Another comment from a viewer. Trump has said multiple times that he will not announce his vice presidential pick until the Republican convention. They just keep bait and switching. Yes, I would agree. It's clickbait, 100%. But it's still fun to think about who it could be. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries held a virtual meeting with ranking Democrats about Biden's mental health. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't seem to be in support of Biden either. I think he was asked and kind of dodged the question. Fox is told the consensus among most Democrats on the call who suggested Biden should abandon the race was that the party should focus on Harris as a potential successor. Following reports of the meeting, Don Beyer, Democrat from Virginia, said, I support President Biden. I support the Biden-Harris ticket and look forward to helping defeat Donald Trump in November. I was proud to host an event this week in Northern Virginia with the president. We'll continue doing all I can to support the Biden-Harris campaign in Virginia and across the country. So some still showing support, but boy, there seems to be, well, even Hollywood, I don't know if you could call him a celebrity, but do you remember Meathead? From All in the Family, Rob Reiner, very loyal Democrat, very loyal fundraiser or donor. Rob Reiner declared it's time for Joe Biden to step down. It's time to stop blanking around. If the convicted felon wins, we lose our democracy. Joe Biden has effectively served the U.S. with honor, decency, and dignity. It's time for Joe Biden to step down. Wow. When you lose Rob Reiner, when you lose Meathead, you're in some real trouble. Michael Moore, too. Michael Moore, the director, of course, very far left director. He accused the Democrat Party of committing elder abuse by continuing to push Biden to stay in the race. He was on MSNBC's Amen on Saturday. I'm not sure what that is, but he said the problem here is that I think there's a form of elder abuse going on where the Democrat Party and the people that are part of the apparatus are pushing him to stay. And then he comes out and says, I'm staying, and the family says, I'm staying. I don't know about you, but in spite of my criticisms with Biden, watching the debate a week ago was heartbreaking. It was like, imagine that was your father up there. I was thinking, why isn't anybody doing anything? Why did they let him go out on the stage in that condition? Who is looking out for him? Who is looking out for him right now? It's a good point. I mean, if he spent a week with those advisors, they had to know what Joe Biden to expect. Or, I mean, maybe they didn't think it would be as disastrous as it was, but they have to know that he wasn't 100%. Moore insisted throughout his appearance that Biden received some form of medical exam to assure Americans he could serve another term. Something was wrong that night. We all saw it with our eyes. We can't unsee it. And as Richard Pryor and before that Chico Marx said, Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? My eyes weren't lying and yours weren't either. Yeah, but that's been kind of their whole campaign. I mean, that's been their whole presidency. Never mind what you're experiencing. Never mind what you're feeling. Believe us and our stats. We need independent doctors or a doctor who will do a neurological exam, a full medical evaluation. Why don't they do that? If it is all good, it will put to rest so much of this. And then they can say he had a bad night. But they are not doing that. Why are they risking our country? And that's why there's so much anger with Biden, because they've been told, I mean, listen, you're full of hate for Trump. So then you go to the next logical step, which is he is a threat to democracy. And that's what Biden has been pushing. So these people believe that Donald Trump is such a threat to democracy that Biden has become the bad person if he allows him to win. I'd like to speak to one particular individual. That is President Biden, said Michael Moore. His chance of not being reelected, I think at this point, is so great because of those numbers. Because he's losing the youth vote. He's lost the Arab American vote in Michigan. I'm trying to save Joe Biden. We're going to lose this election. We're going to lose Michigan if President Biden doesn't turn this around. Oof. Adam Schiff says Biden has to put the country first. Representative Adam Schiff said on Meet the Press yesterday, ultimately, this is the decision that President Biden will have to make, and President Biden alone. The performance on the debate stage, I think, rightfully raised questions among the American people about whether the president has the vigor to defeat Donald Trump. This is an existential race. Oh my gosh, that's going to be the term, huh? Given Joe Biden's incredible record, given Donald Trump's terrible record, he should be mopping the floor with Donald Trump. Joe Biden is running against a criminal. It should not even be close, and there's only one reason it is close, and that's the president's age. What I would advise the president is seek out the options, or seek out the opinions of people you trust. He's obviously talked to his family about this, and that's important. But he should seek out people with some distance and objectivity. By the way, speaking to his family, I guess Hunter Biden, Miranda Devine has a piece that we may get to later on. The Hunter Biden is a major factor, like we talked about last week in the discussions with Biden. But anyway, I'll continue. He should seek pollsters who are not his own pollsters. He should take a moment to make the best informed judgment. And if the judgment is run, then run hard and beat that blank. This is not, why is everybody always cussing anymore? But this is not just about whether he gave it the best college try, but rather he made the right decision to run or pass the torch. That is the most important decision for him to make right now. This is about whether the country remains a democracy and whether we veer off into some kind of dictatorship. Everything is riding on this. I know people feel an urgency. I feel an urgency. But I would tell the president, slow down and take the time to make the right decision that's best for the country. So that is Adam Schiff. All right, I got some waves coming in. All right, we've got, if you're just joining us, we've got T. Graham Brown, the newest member of the Grand Ole Opry. He's going to be joining us here in probably around 7:10. You won't want to miss that. I know I'm going through all this so quickly. We're covering so much this morning. And there has been, to be fair to the president, there has been some people still defending him. I think Bernie Sanders said he believes he can do the job. But now, the interesting part of that is Bernie Sanders is a year older than Biden, so it's kind of tough to say anything differently. But many people questioning his performance. I don't know if you watched it. I did with George Stephanopoulos. I can understand why it didn't help. It wasn't a great interview. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, said similar. Voters do have questions, and personally, I love Joe Biden. I don't know that an interview on Friday night did enough to answer those questions. So I think this week is going to be absolutely critical. I think the president needs to do more. I'm not advising the campaign, but if I were, I'd probably suggest that the president get out of there and do a town hall, do a press conference, that he shows the country that he is still the old Joe Biden. Well, he is still the old one. One of the best retail politicians this country has ever seen. I trust that he can. I think the week is going to be really critical for him to answer those remaining questions. Let's just be honest. I think there are still questions out there in the mind of many voters. And I don't know what the substance of those tests are, whether the measurement would be impactful for voters. They have questions. I think it's much more important for the president to be in a conversation with voters this week in an unscripted way to show that he is still old Joe Biden. I keep saying that. That's interesting. But some people, or him calling for a medical test, many people calling for a medical test. But again, I think it's disingenuous. It should have been done early on in his presidency. And of course, it was not. It was never a concern to the media that his doctor would not speak to his mental health. But again, when it came to President Trump, they were calling for cognitive tests really within the first couple weeks of his presidency. We've got more to talk about with this. I don't want to run too late. I see a lot of comments coming in, a lot of waves as well. Thank you for that. Keep all your comments coming in when we take this break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Dear Triathlon, let's splash through rushing rivers, take on iconic trails, and race straight to the top. What's the point of winning if you can't kick back and enjoy the view? Yours, Toyota SUVs.
Lease a new RAV4 all-wheel drive for just $319 a month, and you've got everything you need to take adventure further.
Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places. If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-977-4997. That's 1-800-977-4997, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Coming up in just a little bit with the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program, we'll be talking with T. Graham Brown. A couple comments from viewers. You failed to mention that Hunter Biden is also a convicted felon, I think. Yes. Hunter Biden is, according to reports, is very influential in the decision for Biden, meaning Joe Biden, to stay in the race or not. Next comment. Biden continues to speak about democracy, yet his platform infringes on American individual rights and values. His open border policies in direct violation of his oath of president. And then another comment. Supreme Court will overturn Trump's conviction. In reality, it is baseless. Thank you very much. Democrats are increasingly worried that the president will also spell doom for the down ballot races. Yeah, maybe not an interest to even go out and vote for president, or not an interest in the other candidates. Democrats are growing increasingly nervous that President Biden's campaign is sinking after his disastrous debate performance, and their hopes of retaining the Senate and retaking the House in November could sink along with it. Representative Adam Schiff saying on Meet the Press, there are concerns with the impact on down-ballot races if the president doesn't do well. At present, our down-ballot candidates in the Senate and House are doing well. They're running well ahead of the president, but you can only run so far ahead of the president. One House Democrat said, something is going to hit the fan. I won't tell you exactly what. On Monday, when Congress returns, people are scared about their own races, but they're also worried about the country and about democracy. Nate Cohen, political analyst for The Upshot, said it's hard to see signs of Democratic weakness outside of the polling on Joe Biden. Whether it's special election results, the midterms, or the polling of other Democrats, the problem appears to be somewhat contained to Biden. Led by Joe Biden, Democrats have an incredible agenda to run on. Republicans every single day of this cycle are forced to answer for their support of abortion bans, shipping jobs abroad, and undermining our democracy. All right. Well, thank you. All these waves and comments coming in, I really appreciate it. But like the New York Post editorial board said, Democrats are going to get President Biden off the ticket. When you start seeing major names questioning his competency for office, it's only a matter of time. So this is, I guess, we said it last week too, but this is a very important week. Will this be the end to the Biden campaign? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you and what you think we will ultimately see from the president this week. Because again, that George Stephanopoulos interview did not help. It's weird when you can't even answer if you watched your debate performance. I don't think so, no. That's a weird answer to give to somebody after being asked if you watched something. And remember, it's only been a week. It wasn't as if it had been, 6 months went by. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can't remember if I watched it or not. But President Biden insisted on Friday that he won't drop out of the 2024 race unless the Lord Almighty tells him. Well, get ready for a lot of Democrats to start publicly praying. Not so much to God, though, as to Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and anyone else with a shot at getting through to Joe, who right now seems to be listening only to Hunter and Dr. Jill. And we're going to talk more about Hunter here in just a little bit. But the party's down-ballot candidates are scared, rightly fearing that having a manifestly unfit-for-office guy at the top of the ticket will not only hand Donald Trump the White House, but also elect a Republican House and Senate. This again from the New York Post editorial board. Obama's top electioneer, David Axelrod, who, if you're just joining us, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, that he had that, I guess you'd call it an op-ed, that essay for CNN. He's already telling the party's donors to close their purses to any candidate who won't call for Biden to drop. Sticking with Biden will kill the party's turnout in swing states and districts. An outright Democratic civil war to oust him at the convention won't help either. And every day the conversation turns on Biden's condition is a day that Democrats lose. Why do you think Donald Trump is staying so uncharacteristically quiet? And that's such a good point. I think you probably noticed that as well, that since that debate, Trump has been pretty quiet, watching, I guess you'd say, the Biden campaign implode. Joe, Jill, and Hunter figure the conversation will change thanks to this week's NATO summit in D.C. They're fooling themselves yet again. First off, Biden's state will be the story of the summit, with the whole U.S. press corps fighting for more on-background quotes from other world leaders and their flunkies about how sadly the president has declined. And we heard that a little bit about the G7 summit, but much later, coming out well after the fact, but I'll continue. Plus, the House comes back from its July 4th vacation with Democrat members having gotten earfuls from grassroots voters who wanted Biden replaced even before his debate disaster. With Representative Jerry Nadler joining in, the trickle of Democrat representatives calling on Biden to withdraw has become a steady stream. Next is the flood. Senator Mark Warner should also be releasing his letter calling on Joe to go. Major media and the party establishment have been covering for the president for years, even more frantically in the weeks before the debate. The media's so regretfully gone over to the other side. The silence from most Democrat poobahs. V. Paris mentioned him once at her big weekend event. And subtle signals. Yeah, and that's a good part. I'm sorry, I rushed a little bit on that. But Harris having that event, only mentioning the president once. That should probably raise some concerns too. And subtle signals like Pelosi's careful concern about Joe's condition, showing where they're headed. The question's not if he drops, but when. If they must, they'll invoke the 25th Amendment to get him gone, even if the president's friends can't let him take the whole party down with them. Interesting. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
It's time to stock up on your favorite New York wines at GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads. GCP Discount Liquors and Wines has the largest selection of Finger Lakes wines in the southern tier, all under one roof. Whether you're looking for Lakewood, Wagner, Wise, or Haslett 1852 Vineyards, GCP Discount Liquors and Wines is your convenient one-stop shop for these great wineries and more, all at the area's lowest prices. Shop GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads, the best in service, selection, and price.
Isn't this important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Every day, your game is on Fox. I mean, just feast your eyes on this. Because if baseball is as American as apple pie, then Fox Saturday Baseball is one heck of a slice. And with these guys on the menu, all you gotta do is sit back, relax, and make some room for a big old helping. With a cherry on top. Come on, it's
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We got a few comments from viewers here. Why is it okay for Hunter Biden, a known drunk and drug addict, allowed to sit in on the White House meetings? Fair question. It will, and then a different comment from a different viewer. It will probably wind up being one of 3 for vice president: Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Gavin Newsom. So what are your thoughts? Who do you think it'll be? Now, Bernie Sanders, not that he's being thrown around for VP. I don't think that would be a smart move. But he's convinced that old President Biden can clearly defeat Trump. President Biden can clearly defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in the history of this country, Sanders said on Face the Nation yesterday. Well, they don't use a lot of hyperbole, do they? Biden is old. He's not as articulate as he once was. I wish he could jump up on the steps on Air Force One. He can't. What we have got to focus on now is policy. Senator Mark Warner has attempted to rally his colleagues to nudge Biden to step aside in favor of a more mentally competent presidential candidate. And you've got to think, okay, so they're questioning whether or not he can run. But let's say he does run. And you've got 4 years. Does anybody feel that he is fit enough for 4 more years of this? Anyway, Sanders, asked about Warner's efforts, replied, Mark is one of the most conservative or more conservative members of the Democrat caucus. No, I have not been invited. I will not attend. He added of the reported meetings involving the ousting of Biden. Biden had a terrible performance. I know that is a legitimate concern, meaning during the debate. So Bernie Sanders says that President Biden can clearly defeat Donald Trump. Boy, we got some comments coming in. Okay, here's one. Harris, Obama. Harris, Clinton. Yeah, it could be. It fits better on a sign. That's true. It would look, maybe, I don't know. Those are all interesting. What do you think? Who will be the VP? And I know there's a lot of talks about this over the weekend. Many in the media almost accepting that Biden is eventually going to drop out. I don't know if you can just accept that. There's an ego issue there. There's obviously a candidate has an uphill battle getting in at this late. So we do have a few more things on that. I can't believe how fast this show is going already. Wow. At the slate, because there's actually many on the left, and this has been coming for a little bit now, a couple of weeks. The debate really kicked it into full gear, where you had some Democrats saying, well, maybe we want someone younger. Because remember, they started bringing up Trump's age. And you knew that's when they were concerned about Biden's age, because it never came up before that. But we can't unsee what we saw, says Hillary Frey at the Slate. There are times in all of our lives when we see things we wish we hadn't. It could be a text sent or received by a loved one that reveals a secret. It could be a bill or bank statement left out at a friend's house that tells a different financial story than what you thought you knew about your friend. It could be a blank test result confirming something you'd previously been able to deny. Or it could be last Thursday's presidential debate, which revealed that President Biden is indeed an old man who appears to be in no condition to be running this country, even now, not to mention in another 4 years. Now, that's interesting. Now you are actually seeing some people, and specifically here at the Slate, calling for him to step aside as president currently. Now, there could be something there about a little bit of incumbency if Harris gets to run it for a few months, but I'll continue. The debate was shocking, upsetting, nearly impossible to watch. Based on my anecdotal research, lots of folks turned it off after 10 minutes, unable to witness the humiliating performance by our current president. Others held out hope it would turn around in real time, that Biden's jaw would be vacuumed shut again, eyes refocused. Still, more of us had the sinking, correct assumption that this would not come to pass. We knew what was happening. We were watching the President of the United States, unteleprompted, fail in a spectacularly human way in front of all of us. He was not okay, which meant the impending presidential election was more than an impending disaster. But even worse than those unbearable 90 minutes has been the spin that followed. Democrat operatives and Biden's friends in high places came to his defense. Obama himself brushed off the president's dismal performance, saying, hey, bad debate nights happen. Yes, a bad debate might happen to Obama when he was running in 2012. A bad debate night is not what happened last week. Pushing this line is offensive. Everyone saw the same debate. It was reality rubbing human morality in our faces. Biden is old, and the process of his aging seems to be accelerating as it is wont to do. We all know old people. We know how different the 60s are from the 70s and the 70s from the 80s. We've all witnessed the decline that comes in the slow march towards the end, likely in circumstances that were unbelievably personal and sorrowful. What am I trying to say? We know what we saw last Thursday, and like those relationship-changing texts and bad test results, we cannot unsee what we saw. The effort to convince us that in reality wasn't that bad will continue. Biden's campaign will keep reiterating that those closest to the president, his wife Jill and son Hunter, first and foremost are standing by him, urging him to stay in, because they're the ones who know what he is really like, and they think he's up for it. But the swell from the media is building to counter that, and that's good. It's our job to say what is really happening out here, even if it's unpleasant and inconvenient. Could we have been more forcefully pushing on Biden's age before? Sure, and some reporters have been trying. But even with the evidence of the number, Biden is 81, pressing too hard seems to be edging into a hypothetical space. He seemed good. The State of the Union was a success. He looked invigorated at rallies. Only now does it feel so obvious that in those encounters, Biden was scripted, prompted, controlled. Did they not know this? I mean, we're supposed to believe this media person saying, well, now we realize it was all teleprompters. Now we realize it was overly practiced. What? Now we regular folks have seen him unplugged. It's not pretty. Aging only goes in one direction. All right, we got to take a short break. Yeah, it's just hard to believe the media now saying, oh, guess what? You'll never believe it. Those other speeches were all, wow, look at all these comments, had teleprompters. We're all scripted. Okay, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Was your premature baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
It's Western. It's Reese Ranch Rodeo. Looking for a new exciting adventure? Join the cowboys and cowgirls at Reese Ranch Rodeo. Fun for the whole family. Kids 5 and under are free. Gates open at 2 p.m. Rodeo starts at 7. Enjoy great music, great food, cold drinks, and classic rodeo fun. For event dates and ticket prices, visit ReeseRanchRodeo.com. Reese Ranch Rodeo, 4115 Oldfield Drive, Corning, next to Fair and Ball Campgrounds.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Sharing the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
We are back. Sorry, you got a little extra Market Street view this morning as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. So many comments coming in. We'll read those at the top of the hour. As I mentioned, we'd have T. Graham Brown in on the show. T. Graham Brown has a new album out. There it is. Look at all these big stars that he's with. Little Anthony, Sam Moore. I think you're going to really enjoy this interview, so you do not want to miss it. That's coming up in just a few moments because this show is going very, very quickly. Now, Josh Hammer, well, maybe I'll save that. Miranda Devine has a point that says, at the New York Post, it says, Hunter Biden's the real point person in Joe's White House. Don't underestimate the first son. So we'll be talking about that as well. I just can't believe how fast the show went. We are out of time for this hour. We'll read a few comments at the top of the hour. So keep those comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in. We, as I said, T. Graham Brown is going to join us. If you happen to watch the Cardboard Boat Regatta, I would love to hear what you thought about it. I watched it over the weekend. I thought it turned out really well. So we are just getting started. Can you believe the first hour is already through? How we ever had a 1 hour show is just unbelievable to me. Pretty much everything this morning is about Joe Biden's fate. Who could be next? So do you think, like the media has been pushing, do you think it'll be Harris? Do you think he'll step down? Or will they continue to listen to Hunter and Jill saying, no, he's not going anywhere? I would love to hear your opinion on that as well. Let's see. So, sorry. I'm so distracted by all these comments coming in and so many things I want to cover before we wrap up this hour. But as I mentioned just quickly, Josh Hammer has a piece called They Lied to You. I think that's one of the things that's so frustrating over this. They've been telling us over and over again for the last 3.5 years that if you question the president's mental health, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy. But then you started to see the coverage where they would talk about Trump's age. After 3.5 years of not talking about age, then it came up. And that started raising some red flags. I remember talking about it on the program here, that why were they so adamant to bring up Trump's age? Because there were so many fears about Biden's. But I still don't understand this. Who let him do that debate? There was no reason to do such an early debate. He's the one that called for it. They could have easily backed out at any time. It's just fascinating to see who's behind the scenes and who's, I don't know if you could even say in charge, because I don't understand how you put him out there for that debate if you knew he was even going to be somewhat like that. I mean, because these people truly believe that Trump is a threat to democracy. So wouldn't they want to keep this hidden? Wouldn't they want to keep this covered? But they did not. So we're just getting started. 1 hour left together. Unbelievable. T. Graham Brown is going to be our guest coming up in just a little bit. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you're looking for new tires, do you choose a chain that's owned by a corporation and only cares about their profit margins, a place who hasn't been in business very long, or a locally owned tire store who's been around for over 5 decades? The choice is pretty obvious, right? Parmeter Automotive has been in business for over 50 years. You don't make it that long unless you take great care of your customers. Stop into Parmeter Automotive today and see why they've become a staple in our community. With 7 convenient locations, there's a Parmeter Automotive near you.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Attention, this is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
And we are back. Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We've received so many comments. Yes, I did receive your one from earlier this morning to the person asking. We'll get into that later on. I'll do some more research on it, so I appreciate that. For months now, a group is running the country, so why take Joe out? As this group would lose control of telling Biden what to do, as they have for months now. Yeah, I think he could argue for years. This is a national security risk, said another viewer. It seems it to me. Now, Josh Hammer said, lying is certainly nothing new in politics. It said that prostitution is the world's oldest profession, but politics is assuredly the dirtiest, filthier, even than mortician, or, well, the world's oldest profession itself. Former President Bill Clinton perjured himself, leading to his impeachment. Former President Barack Obama, in what PolitiFact called its 2013 Lie of the Year, promised if you like your health care plan, you can keep it. And the list goes on and on. The corporate media, whose 21st century, let's see, where is this? Oh, I got cut off. But last Thursday, CNN's presidential debate in Atlanta, in which President Joe Biden delivered a catastrophic performance for the ages, there's only one conclusion. The years-long effort by Biden administration flunkies, Democrat Party poobahs, and that's the second time I've seen an article mention poobahs. That's so weird. And pro-regime media stenographers to forcefully deny Biden's obvious physical and mental decline will go down as the single greatest lie in American history. And what an effort it was. For years, Democrats and corporate media lied through their teeth about the blatant decline of the president's physical and mental health. When Biden fell off a stationary bike in 2022, handlers brushed it off as no big deal. When Biden started wearing funny-looking tennis sneakers instead of dress shoes, presumably to stabilize his gait, aides informed us that Biden was just embracing a certain savviness. Okay? When Robert Hur, yes, Robert Hur is owed an apology, isn't he? Declined to pursue charges against Biden due to the fact he would likely present himself to a jury as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Media The media denounced her as a Trump plant in the Justice Department. After multiple videos emerged of Biden freezing, starting and wandering off, the New York Times called them misleading. The Biden White House dismissed them as cheap fakes. Yeah, that was just a few weeks ago, remember. The Wall Street Journal's recent story in which reporters interviewed 45 officials who expressed concern about Biden's health, it was exonerated as a hit job. Anything to prevent the American people from learning the truth. Axios reported last Friday how close aides have carefully shielded Biden from people inside and outside the White House since the beginning of his presidency. For Democrats and their media enablers, there can be no stone left unturned to protect their precious. The ends always justify the means, just as Saul Alinsky taught. The media's hubris in thinking it could get away with this is astounding. Biden is the president of the United States. His decline wasn't exactly a state secret, at least for anyone with functioning eyes and ears. And that was just like with the economy. Never mind what you're seeing. Never mind what you're experiencing. Just believe us. This column 2 years ago lamented Biden's health, that there's something very, very clearly wrong with the president of the United States. That's an exact quote from Mr. Josh Hammer from 2 years ago. The persistent media gaslighting for the past 2 to 3 years has been a victimless crime, they claim. The collective victim is all of us, every one of us. America is wildly insecure under the leadership of Biden. Xi Jinping is sure to move on Taiwan before year's end. Who knows what Xi's friend, Vladimir Putin, might do? Who will stop them? Who's got the power to stop them? The ultimate irony of all this, the massive lie and disinformation operation to obfuscate the president's decline, has been perpetrated in the name of, you guessed it, our quote-unquote democracy. Can you imagine that? Democracy dies in darkness, reads the Washington Post's masthead slogan, conveniently adopted mere weeks after former President Donald Trump took office back in 2017. Come again, we don't actually know who is running the country right now. It certainly isn't Uncle Joe. Now that is some serious darkness. Never forgive and never forget what those lying miscreants have done to us and to our republic. I thought that was our republic, that was a forceful piece by Josh Hammer. Now, Hunter Biden, according to Miranda Devine, we got to go. Because by the way, this interview obviously was pre-recorded with T. Graham Brown. He's got a new album out called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. It is a long one, so we want to get to that coming up in just a couple moments. But Miranda Devine says Democrats trying to dislodge Joe Biden will first have to combat the proxy commander-in-chief, which is Hunter Biden, and that's easier said than done. With the Biden family digging in behind Joe staying put, any staffers or party grandees deputized to strong-arm Joe Biden out of being their candidate in November had better not underestimate the first son. While the focus has been on four-time Vogue cover girl Jill Biden, isn't it always interesting how Democrat first ladies get so much fashion attention, except for when it was an actual model in Melania Trump. I always thought that was very interesting. But Hunter is glued to his father's side for a reason. He was with him at Camp David to help prepare for the disastrous debate, was there for the family photo shoot post-debate with Annie Leibovitz, then flew back with the president to the White House, where he has been ensconced ever since. He reportedly is acting as a gatekeeper to his father and helping write speeches for him, while White House Press Secretary Jean-Pierre confirmed that he has been sitting in on Joe's meeting with senior staffs. Hunter has always regarded himself as smarter than his father's aides, some of whom are telling reporters that they're flabbergasted by his presence at such a crucial time. Hunter's role has also caused concern for the powerful House Intelligence Committee, with Republican Chairman Mike Turner demanding to know if Hunter is receiving classified information. He wrote to White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients last week requesting a full accounting of any official meeting and phone call Hunter Biden is participating in what capacity, and whether those discussions included classified information. Despite the questionable optics, Hunter is not even trying to hide his position of influence and instead is acting like he is in charge. Cameras caught him looking deliriously happy and networking like a pro in the East Room, where his father was conducting a Medal of Honor ceremony on Wednesday. When the president delivered a teleprompter speech, Hunter stiffened up and stared at him intently as if willing him not to flub it. Hunter's always exerted some element control over his father. We know that. But that's bad news for Democrats and disastrous for the country. Those who know Hunter well say that despite his reputation as a former crackhead, he is highly intelligent, manipulative, methodical, and always out for his own ends, which now more than ever depends on his father maintaining power. Hunter also is fearless and willing to fight to the death to get what he wants. That makes him a formidable adversary for any hapless Democrat believing that all they have to do is sweet talk Jill and Ashley Biden or appeal to Joe's sense of party loyalty and desire to preserve his legacy. Hunter has a lot at stake, personally, in Joe remaining in office. He has benefited from Joe's power all his life, but now his future is in peril, with a looming felony tax trial in California as he awaits sentencing over his felony gun conviction in Delaware. So kind of interesting. I don't want to go through all that because we do have our guest coming up here in just a moment. But Hunter Biden, behind the scenes, he does have a lot to lose if his father isn't president. So willing to fight, as Miranda Devine says there, to the death to keep his father in power. Now, the CNN says, inside a despondent White House, aides are gripped by unease as Biden's political future remains uncertain. We may get to that in a little bit, but I do want to take our first break of this hour because coming up next, we're going to hear from T. Graham Brown, who has a new album out called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals, which is available on August the 2nd. So you can pre-purchase now. You can wait patiently for August 2nd. So he's coming up in just a little bit for the Stu Ben Senior Services Fund after this break, as a matter of fact. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. This book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. We've researched over 1,200 annuities summarizing the rates and benefits for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Call now and find out how you can get up to 33% more income in your retirement, and you'll receive Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report as an added bonus. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972. That's 800-354-5972. Again, 800-354-5972.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and this is the Stu Ben Senior Services Fund section of our program. And on the Zoom this morning, we have from the Grand Ole Opry, T. Graham Brown. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, Frank. I appreciate it, buddy.
Well, you've
how's
got
how's everything in your neck of the woods
Oh,
today?
It's beautiful. Corning, New York, everything is beautiful, as always. How about you?
Oh, Nashville's great. It's hot out there today, but
Sure.
it's that time of year.
That's right. So you've got a new album out, From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. Before we start talking about that, I've had so many people tell me what a great job you did on Fox News the other day.
Oh, thanks, man.
Isn't that nice? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad people saw that.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time Fox has ever interviewed me.
Yeah. Well, it turned out great. And as soon as I mentioned you were going to be on the show, everybody kept bringing it up. So it's a tough on my job because now I have to be good. So, so where did the idea come from Memphis to Muscle Shoals?
Well, I guess it started in the 60s. I'm 69 years old. I grew up in the 60s listening to AM radio. There was no FM, and a lot of people probably won't remember transistor radios or even what a transistor radio was. But I had a little transistor radio that was just glued to my ear.
Yeah.
And I would listen to all kinds of music, but, you know, listen to the top 40 of the day, you know, the Stones and the Beatles, of course, and all the soul music, Otis Redding and Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis. I listened to a little bit of everything, but I just have always loved soul music. When I started singing, a lot of people don't know, when I started singing for a living in 1973, I sang soul music.
Oh, okay.
And I finally moved to Nashville in 1982. So in Athens, Georgia, for 9 years, I had a soul band.
Oh.
So when I moved to Nashville, I started singing songwriter demos, and they were mainly country songs. But I've always had one foot in the R&B world, and it's basically a pet project. I've been wanting to cut a 1960s soul tribute album, and songs that were originally cut in Memphis or in Muscle Shoals. I'm a huge Memphis, Stax Records, High Records that Al Green was on. And then down in Muscle Shoals at Fame Studios, they cut a ton of soul hits, Percy Sledge, Aretha Franklin, a whole lot of things. So we went down to Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, so that's a studio that a lot of those hits were originally cut in. And so we called it From Memphis to Muscle Shoals because we cut songs that were either originally recorded in Memphis or Muscle Shoals. And so we cut 14 tracks of my favorite old soul songs, and it wasn't planned to be a duet album, but
sure.
I was talking to Dwight Yoakam. Dwight's an old friend of mine. Our first albums came out within a year of each other, and we've been friends since probably 1985, I guess. Oh. So we keep in touch with each other, and he was asking me what I'd been up to, and I told him about this soul project, and he asked me if I had cut this song called I'm Your Puppet.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. And he said, that's one of my favorite songs. Can I sing on it? Can I put a vocal on it? And I said, yeah, man, it'd be awesome. And so he went in the studio out in Hollywood and did his part and really worked hard on it. He sang the duet part, and then he went back and sang harmony on everything. He's a perfectionist, so he did a great job. And then I got to thinking, man, maybe I should call Tanya.
Yeah.
And see if she would do it. And I knew she would. And so I called her up, and we went out to her place in Texas and recorded her in her living room. And then I thought, man, why not call Winona for this Al Green track? And
sure.
She said yes. And I thought, man, Sam Moore, Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, he's 87 years old. And he's been a friend of mine for about 30 years. And so we flew down to Miami. He lives down there, and there's a historic studio down there called Criteria.
Okay.
And we recorded him there. And then I called Little Anthony from Little Anthony and the Imperials. He lives down in Boca Raton, Florida. So we went to a studio called the Power Station in Fort Lauderdale and recorded him. And Delbert McClinton, one of my all-time heroes, I recorded him in a friend of mine studio here in Nashville. He sang Mustang Sally with me. And Randy Houser, a country artist, has a studio at his house. He went over there and got a vocal on him singing, sitting on the dock of the bay. And there's this lady named Betty Levette. A lot of people don't know about her. She grew up with Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
She lives in New York now. She's a soul singing, great soul singing woman. And she put her part on in New York City, a studio up there. I have a friend named Zach Williams, who's a big Christian artist right now. He's a really soulful guy. And he's singing When a Man Loves a Woman with me. And Sammy Hagar, we cut this cool old Rufus Thomas song called Walking the Dog. And Sammy did his part at his house in California. And so I just got Eddie Floyd, who wrote and sang the original song Knock on Wood, came to Muscle Shoals, and we got him. It's great singing a duet on Knock on Wood on a song that Eddie had a hit on.
Of course.
And he's 85, I think. I wanted to get some of these older guys on there just to show the world they could still cut the mustard, and they all did a great job.
Oh, sure. So
it kind of turned into a duet. We got 11 duets out of 14 tracks on it. Wow. So, but we even used some of the original instruments that were used on those original tracks. Wow. I got David Hood is people don't realize that I cut most of my country hits in Muscle Shoals.
Oh, okay.
Using the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. People call them the Swampers. Yeah. But they played on my records, and they have all passed away except for David Hood, the bass player. So we got David Hood to play bass on all these tracks.
Oh, wow.
And so we could have a link to that era, and
that's amazing.
And we used the Muscle Shoals horns, and we got background singers from down there. So I had a lot of fun doing this record.
I'm sure. Well, looking at Fame Records, I had the honor to talk to Rick Hall before he passed away about the history of, and it is how much they accomplished with what they had was just so remarkable, and to basically change the sound of music as we know it.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Rick was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
The Little Anthony duet is called "You Better Move On," and that was the first hit ever recorded at Fame in 1961, I think. And so, it was, like I said, it's a tribute album, and we recorded it exactly the way they recorded it back then. So the record really, we wanted the record to sound like it was recorded in, say, 1967. So we tried to make it authentic, and I think we came pretty close to it. And like I said, it was a blast to do.
Was it difficult to pick the songs? Because you look, and I think Arthur Alexander is so underrated. So you have that, you have Anna, and you had so many, and that's just one example. So many songs you could have picked from each of these artists. Was it difficult to pick your favorite?
Man, you said it. There's so many. I hope we get a chance to do volume 2, because there's so many songs that I wanted to do that we weren't able to do. But I think we got a pretty good cross section of songs, from the Memphis, the Stack studio. So many hits came out of that, and then there was High Records that Al Green's hits were on. So there's just so many that you could do.
Is it intimidating almost doing some of these songs? Oh, yeah.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go in and cut a better version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay?
Right.
I mean, it's pretty audacious and cheeky to think you can go in and cut Mustang Sally with Elvis Clinton. but I guess you just run the risk anytime you do any kind of tribute album.
Yeah.
I think that there's some country artists, current country artists that did a Tom Petty.
Oh yeah, I saw that
tribute album. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, but I mean, and they've done a Rolling Stones tribute album, so it's always, you run the risk of looking stupid.
Yeah, but you're doing it from a place of love, right? It's not like you actually went in there and said, I'm going to be Percy Sledge,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you look at it that way. I hope everybody will look at it that way. It's just, like I said, it's just a tribute.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it is about these songs when you read the track list that just makes them so eternal? They'll be around long after we're all gone.
Well, they're great songs.
Yeah.
A great song will live on.
Yeah.
A really good friend of mine actually came to one of our shows the other night. Is Dan Penn.
Okay.
And Dan Penn wrote, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the songs that are on this album. Dan's great.
Wow.
So and Spooner Oldham, and then Chip Smallman was in Memphis, and he had a studio called American Sound, and I think the Box Tops, and there were a bunch of people that recorded there also. But I think they're just, Steve Cropper is on this record. He's a great friend of mine.
Oh, really? That's wonderful.
Yeah, Steve and I have been buddies almost 40 years now. And I told Sheila we were going down the road yesterday, and a Booker T and the MGs song came on, and I thought, we always look at it. I said, there he is again, Cropper. It seems like every movie I watch, there's a Steve Cropper song in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some legendary songwriters on this record too, and of course Al Green. And
oh yeah,
I think it's just the songs.
Yeah. Did Steve Cropper plan to sit on the dock of the bay with you?
No, I don't think
so. I was going to say, because that would be kind of eerie.
No, but I did an album. My last studio album was a gospel album, and we did People Get Ready. Me and Leon Russell and Steve Cropper played guitar on that.
Wow. I could talk this kind of stuff all day, but let me change tune a little bit. The new album is called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. It's available August 2nd, but I'm sure everybody's asking you, we see the post in the background. What's it like to be the newest Opry member? May 3rd.
Oh, man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
This stuff, this stuff behind me is just leaning up against the wall.
Oh.
It's the only place I could pull the chair that didn't have a window behind it. But yeah, that's that poster behind us commemorates. It says May 3rd, 2024. Yeah. That's the Grand Ole Opry framed that for me and gave it to me. And then some friends of mine, you see the Ryman Auditorium behind me. Some friends of mine had that framed for me also. And hey, let me show you something cool. You want to see something cool?
Yeah, of course.
The Grand Ole Opry gave me this trophy.
That's amazing.
This is what they give the members when they're inducted, and it's a microphone stand with a microphone on top of it. So that's real cool too. But doing the Opry is awesome, man. I'm doing it tonight, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's the biggest career achievement. Sheila and I, my wife Sheila, has been taking care of me for 46 years. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be here. So it's the biggest career achievement we've ever had.
Yeah. Is it still kind of nerve-wracking playing the Opry even after all this many times that you played it?
Yeah, it's the only place I ever get nervous in.
Isn't that right?
Hey, when you walk out there and you're standing in that circle of wood that they cut out of the floor of the Ryman Auditorium, and you know, the Opry's been around, next year will be 100 years that the Opry's been on the radio.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just hard to describe, man. There's nothing like it. Hey, it's the Grand Ole Opry.
Exactly. Exactly. Congratulations. I was so excited to see that. Also, I know you probably get asked this a lot because I know you've got a lot of these to do and I don't want to keep you too late. So are the family country reunions all over with now?
Yeah, the man, Larry Black, the producer of those shows, the guy that organized everything, paid for everything, and booked the studio and the crew and booked all the talent and all that. He broke his back in a ATV accident, so he's never really fully recovered from it. So I think he's pretty much retired. So I don't know if there's ever going to be any more of those.
That's a shame because it gave someone like me the opportunity to maybe find out about people I'd never heard of before.
Right.
And expands your musical knowledge. They were wonderful, but I will say they still hold up. So it's not as if people can't go back to the old ones and watch them.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. And for me to be included sitting around in that circle, I never felt worthy to even be there. But yeah, it's great. And I think he did that for 20 years. So you can go way back and see stuff. There've been so many artists that have died.
Yeah.
So it's really a time capsule.
It really is. And I'm so glad that he did that because there's people, again, that you will never have the opportunity to see again and to hear their stories and see them laughing and telling great tales. It's an amazing show. A couple of quick things before we go. I know you mentioned this on Fox, but during your career, I think it's important to bring this up, especially this time of year. How important has your faith been in your career?
Well, man, I couldn't do anything without God's help.
Right.
I went through a period of addiction. I was all drunk and doped up for a long time. And I would get on the horse and ride a while and fall off and get on the horse and ride a while and fall off. I just never could stay sober. And finally, I'm 69 years old. I'll be 70 in a couple of months. And I guess I was 55, I think. And I just woke up. I was all bloated and hungover again. Yeah. I was hungover every day, and the only way to get rid of a hangover is start drinking again, and then you're back in that circle. It goes round and round and round. It's hard to break free from it. And I just woke up one morning, man. I think I finally had my head right, my heart right, and I looked in the mirror. It's a cliche of a story. People have heard this story before, but I just looked in the mirror and I remember talking to myself. I said, man, what are you doing? You're about to blow everything. You're about to lose your wife, your job. You're about to blow everything. You gotta do something. You're smarter than this. You got to do something about this. And I asked God to help me. And since that instant, I have not had one craving.
That's amazing.
I went from looking for a buzz 24/7. If I was awake, I was either buzzing or looking for a buzz. And I went from that to never even thinking about it anymore. So I gotta say it was a miracle for me.
That is. That's amazing. I'm so glad you could tell that story. And just before we go, I want to recap here from Memphis to Muscle Shoals, available on August 2nd. Where can people buy the album and pre-order?
Go to tgrambrown.com and pre-order. We're going to have vinyl also. So just go to tgrambrown.com. You can find out anything, our schedule, our tour schedule, all kinds of stuff. We got a store on there. And one of the things you can get is pre-order the album. So I urge you, if you like soul music, this is a really cool record.
And I think you're right. I imagine there could be 2, 3, 4 more volumes because I'm thinking of all these songs I can't wait to hear on here. I can only imagine what you went through picking the songs.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing another record, and we're going to also do the same type of record, but using 1960s country songs too.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, I love it. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. Best of luck with the new album, and find out more at tgrambrown.com. Thank you.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, and God bless you, and God bless all your viewers, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
It's the Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
You need a, but they're bulky, awkward, and never put the breeze exactly where you want it. Introducing My Fold-Away Fan from Bell & Howell, the compact cordless fan that unfolds into your own personal wind machine and extends to nearly 4 feet high. Its lightweight, portable design makes it easier than ever to have a targeted breeze anywhere. Plus, this whisper-quiet fan has 3 separate speeds, making personalizing your comfort a breeze. My Fold-Away Fan's rechargeable lithium battery lasts up to 10 hours, and it has enough power to blast a breeze to the other side of this room. Its unique telescoping stand allows you to place it on the floor, so the breeze will reach anywhere with ease. Then the whole thing folds away for easy storage. Get My Fold-Away Fan from Bell & Howell for just 2 payments of $19.99. It comes with the USB cable to make charging fast and easy. My Fold-Away Fan. Call or click now.
Call 1-800-349-4156. That's 1-800-349-4156 or go to myfoldawayfan.com.
Race drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, this may be your last chance to get Angel View at this low price. There is a strict limit of 2 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-869-5346. That's 1-800-869-5346. Or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-869-5346 now.
In a few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5.
And we are back. Thank you so much to T. Graham Brown for being our guest this morning on Frankly Speaking during the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. Really interesting to hear from him. I know we got a little nerdy with some of the music, but it was really fascinating to talk with him. So you can find out more at tgrahambrown.com, and you can pre-order that album, which is out August the 2nd, called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. We have to take another break already, but I thought I'd read through some of the comments from viewers. If Biden steps aside, I think some of the scenarios they're kicking around to replace him are just as scary to me. Shame this election has people from both sides so legitimately worried for this country. Wish there was a candidate not so hated by the opposing parties. Another comment. I don't know how Biden can stay. I think allowing him to is a danger to us all, and he should be removed. That said, Kamala gives me no solace whatsoever and will continue the mockery and further the decline of our republic. Another comment. We question Hunter's son, Hunter, being able to sit in on all of the President Joe Biden's meetings. Has Hunter been approved for security purposes? Isn't this a security breach? This just shows that Joe is not able to do the meetings on his own. So thank you for those comments. They do say it's a despondent White House as his aides gripped by unease as Biden's political future remains uncertain. The mood since Biden's dismal showing, everybody in the media, that's just the term now, dismal debate. But the mood inside the White House has been somber. Multiple sources inside and outside the White House have said, as staffers ranging from younger junior aides to more seasoned officials have struggled to make sense of Biden's halting 90-plus minutes on the debate stage. Inside the White House, where TV screens are always on and set to 4 cable news channels, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and CNBC, the devastating headlines casting doubt on Biden's political future have been unavoidable. Group texts among administration officials have been buzzing, rapid-fire exchanges trading the latest gossip and headlines about the president's future. Over the weekend, there was one widely discussed topic of intrigue: the identity of one senior White House official who anonymously told the New York Times that they do not believe the president should continue to seek re-election. That person was described as having worked with Biden during his presidency, vice presidency, and 2020 campaign. When asked about that person, one senior White House official said they shouldn't be in the White House, period. Oh. The official also insisted they had not heard anything in the building resembling the suggestion that the president should abandon the race. Biden's fate is on the line. I have one headline after another. They're not wrong. I mean, if you turn on the news, the major news outlets, that's pretty much all the focus is on the bottom of the screen. The high-stakes week ahead is critical to whether Biden's defiance will save his re-election bid or whether Democrats who question his capability to serve a second term will succeed in pressuring him to step aside. We'll talk about that. Keep those comments coming in. We got to take another short break. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Our water's better tasting. It's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Our drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. And now may be your last chance to get one before they're gone. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. Here's what you see with that ordinary rear view mirror, and here's what you see with Angel View. Look, over 800,000 blind spot accidents occur each year. You think you're clear to change lanes, but you're not. And that's why they call it a blind spot. But Angel View's crystal clear mirror gives you perfect panoramic vision without that awful fisheye effect like other little mirrors. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Angel View installs in seconds to virtually any car or SUV. And the spring-loaded rubber feet automatically adjust to hold on tight. From a senior driver to a first-time teen, and everyone in between. With Angel View, you see them. Without it, you won't. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, there's breaking news. Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. There is a strict limit of 3 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0593. That's 1-800-897-0593 or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-897-0593. Order now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A couple comments from viewers. One big reason this country is in the shape it is comes from elected officials in Congress and the Senate that have trashed our Constitution and make decisions based on how much money they can make and not one concern about what is best for the taxpayers. Another comment from a viewer. Frank, your interview with T. Graham Brown was such a wonderful change of pace. A great example of a grateful American's success story. I couldn't agree more. I really enjoyed talking with T. Graham Brown. I spoke with him once before in radio. But it's interesting to see who he had involved in this one. I mean, and the stories that they're about, or the songs that they're covering. It's just amazing. Have you heard about the Blitz primary they're talking about? So what this would do, and this is coming from Elizabeth France, I think, that there's some people behind the scenes working on this idea of a primary for Democrats. Biden would step down as a Democratic nominee in mid-July and announce a new system with backing from Vice President Kamala Harris. So you have to accept that she would go along with this as well. Potential candidates would have a few days to throw their respective hats in the ring. The Democrat Party then would begin a primary sprint in which the 6 candidates who receive the most votes from delegates pledge to run positive-only campaigns in the month leading up to the convention. The Blitz primary would involve weekly forums with each candidate moderated by moderated by cultural icons, Michelle Obama, Oprah, Taylor Swift, and this is some of the names that are being thrown around in this memo. The nominees would ultimately be chosen by the delegates using ranked choice voting before the start of the Chicago convention. It would be announced with plenty of fanfare on the third day of the gathering. The memo imagines that the nominee unveiled on the stage with Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. According to its authors, the country would be captivated, donations would pour in, and Biden would be celebrated as a modern-day George Washington. Interesting. All right, we got to take another short break. I know I'm running really late here, folks. Our interview with T. Graham Brown, though it was a really fun interview, just was a little bit longer than what we're used to here on the program. One other thing, though, Stephen Collinson saying Biden's fate is on the line in the most critical days of his 50-year political career. You have many speaking out. You saw it over the weekend saying that the George Stephanopoulos interview did nothing to quiet concerns about Biden. And again, I know I had a problem with this last week when we mentioned it, but I mean, it was a pre-recorded interview too. But saying he doesn't know if he watched the debate, or just very odd. Fox News says how the printing of ballots could put Democrats on a deadline to potentially replace Biden. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
It's time to stock up on your favorite New York wines at GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads. GCP Discount Liquors and Wines has the largest selection of Finger Lakes wines in the Southern Tier, all under one roof. Whether you're looking for Lakewood, Wagner, Wise, or Haslett 1852 Vineyards, GCP Discount Liquors and Wines is your convenient one-stop shop for these great wineries and more, all at the area's lowest prices. Shop GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads, the best in service, selection, and price.
Isn't your list important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Every day, your game is on Fox. I mean, just feast your eyes on this. Because if baseball is as American as apple pie, then Fox Saturday Baseball is one heck of a slice. And with these guys on the menu, all you gotta do is sit back, relax, and make some room for a big old helper with a cherry on top. Come on, it's
And we are back, frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. One person suggesting maybe Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Is that what it means? Mayor Pete? Another person, Kamala Biden, but Biden as in Hunter Biden. Interesting. To avoid potential confusion on the general election ballot, Democrats are limited in the time they have left to decide whether to keep Joe Biden as the party's nominee or replace him. Every presidential cycle, both Republicans and Democrats officially choose someone to represent their party on the general election ballot. With only 1 month left until the Democrat National Convention in August, Democrats will have to decide whether Biden is their best bet at beating Trump or if the concerns over his age outweigh his strength as a candidate. However, even more concrete than naming Biden as a nominee is the printing of millions of ballots with his name on them. Once a candidate is named the party's nominee at their affiliated convention, they're required to certify the selected candidates to each state's Secretary of State or Director of Election. Some states require a party's candidate to be certified to the Director of Election no later than the beginning of September, while others allow the candidates to be submitted on a later date. So that's a kind of a point you may not think about, but there's so many quote-unquote deadlines, so many things that they're running out of time. Tommy Tuberville, Republican from Alabama, said that because of President Joe Biden's health, Kamala Harris will probably be the one running against former President Trump. Your reaction to what we're seeing, asked Mario Bartiromo. We understand how Hakeem Jeffries in the House is convening a virtual call with leading Democrats to discuss Joe Biden's future. How do you see things? He said, well, Maria, this has been a disgrace. It's been a disgrace for 3.5 years. We have been talking to our Democratic colleagues in the Senate. They know what's going on. Mainstream media has hid all of this. Now they're panicking and wondering what they're going to do. They put the early debate just in case this happened. Well, it did happen. He doesn't know what day it is. It's unfortunate for Joe Biden. He's sick. Nobody can help that. People do get old. They do get sick. But this is all about the Democrats' power. They're continuing to remain in power. Kamala Harris will probably be the candidate running against Donald Trump. That will be very interesting. Then they asked who you think will be on the ticket with her. I don't know. That will be interesting. I don't know who they'd pick. We're going to stay out of their way and let them cut their own throats. To be honest with you, it's a disaster. Yes, they have become quickly the party of chaos. Oh, so many comments. I continually hear the rhetoric about Kamala being the heir apparent when Biden is told to step aside. I think this is another smokescreen to keep the public's eyes off of other possible candidates. I also hear that the campaign money has to follow Kamala, but I think the money donated to Biden and Kamala's campaign is theirs to either use or pledge to others. Both of them will pledge it to someone else and receive some sort of compensation for doing it, money, a lucrative position, or protection from the prosecution. Interesting. In my opinion, the time to replace Biden was the first time he ran against Trump. How about a Biden ticket? There you go. If Kamala runs against Trump, the only way to save the ticket is somebody stronger for VP. Interesting. Oprah? Yes. Okay. Now we got some people throwing around Oprah. Okay. We got to take another short break. Man, this show's going quick. There is a really interesting piece. It's by Charles Gasparino, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to it, but America may be soon subjected to the country's first DEI president, Kamala Harris. There's a raging debate in corporate America on the future of DEI, meaning diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it is literally destroying businesses that go there. We're going to talk about that when we come back. I don't want to run too late. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
The world's pizza has been baked in ovens made of stone, but you can't put one of those on the countertop in your home. Introducing Paisano, the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. The secret is the dual-controlled heat zones that quickly heat the real ceramic stone up to 800 degrees so you can stone bake just like the pros. Plus, there's no gas, wood, or charcoal needed. Paisano is electric, plug-in, and portable. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 4 easy payments of $39.99. And we're going to drop one payment. You get it all for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-597-7208 or order online at buypaisano.com. Call now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, just wrapping things up on this morning's edition. Like I mentioned, Charles Gasparino said America may soon be subjected to the country's first DEI president, Kamala Harris. Harris is already being hailed as the president in waiting, as her boss, Sleepy Joe, despite his defiant TV vow to stay in, increasingly faces the reality that his chances of besting Trump are slim. Even if he does stay and achieves a near impossible by pulling out a victory, you can bet he won't survive 4 years. Harris becomes the nation's first DEI president by default. For the American people, it would be such an unfair and odd coronation. Remember, she's part of an administration that gave us inflation, world chaos, and open border that literally invites terrorism or terrorists to enter the country and kill people. She has spent nearly 4 years as Biden's number 2, flubbing every assignment given to her, including the border mess. Yes, remember, she was in charge of the border. I realize now we're not going to be able to get to this whole piece. I wish I didn't save it till the end. You can find it yourself at the New York Post. First Lady Jill Biden is said to have hated Kamala Harris at the jump, but as one Democrat operative told Charles Gasparino that Joe Biden made his pick because it checked off boxes. DEI, of course, is a construct first embraced by academia, the lefty political class, and then business that posits the world needs to be observed in terms of those historically oppressed at the expense of the oppressor. The Democrat money machine on Wall Street and Silicon Valley is formidable. Yet the country might just be stuck with Harris as president if Sleepy Joe wins and stumbles his way to resignation while in the second term. Or if Biden drops out in the coming days and she becomes a nominee. All because DEI is the Democrat Party's touchstone, no matter how much evidence amasses that it's a failed ideology. Just before we go, yeah, I saw there's other attacks kind of on Biden over the weekend. I saw on CNN, which does not historically report this, a key part of America's economy has shifted into reverse. Finally admitting the economy is not what they've been telling us. But that's very similar to what we're seeing with Biden in general. We knew that there was health issues. We knew there was cognitive issues, but the media kept telling us nothing to see here. Never mind. There's absolutely nothing there. And then, of course, we saw it with our own eyes on Thursday. The same with the economy. Boy, you go to the grocery store, you fill up your tank. You know how expensive it is. And yet the media has been telling us for 3.5 years that nothing to see here. The economy is great. There's another piece. Yeah, this is where I'm going to run through everything. Biden's Supreme Court critiques, largely unprecedented, experts say. Really unprecedented attacks. And this is not just from Joe Biden, but this is from the media in general. The attack on the Supreme Court. Rubio we didn't even really talk about Trump today. Rubio downplays concerns that Trump would seek revenge on his political rivals. Asked whether he was confident that Trump would not seek retribution against Democrats if elected in November, Rubio said he was, pointing to the fact that Trump already served 4 years in the White House and didn't go after Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. He was president before and he didn't do it then. He's already said that he wouldn't do that. He'll be too busy undoing all the damage of this disastrous presidency. Now, we know that Rubio's name is on the short list for potential VP nominee. That's going to be, it's going to be interesting. What are your thoughts? I know we got to wrap up here about Marco Rubio. I was kind of surprised. Maybe it's because he called him Little Marco when they ran, and there was kind of the back and forth attack. I was surprised that he's considered on the short list. That's not a knock on Marco Rubio. It just seemed like there was not a lot of love lost between the two, but I guess I was wrong. His name continuing to be thrown around on the short list. There's also a piece at the New York Post. Biden broke the border, but here's how Trump can fix it again. Well, Trump had it fixed. I mean, but Biden broke the border. It was time. It will take time, but Trump can fix it. Also, an interesting piece at the New York Post, and obviously we're out of time. When will Democrats agree to crack down on law-breaking, anti-Israel, and anti-U.S. goons? So there was one issue that wasn't just about Biden withdrawing. President Biden himself has said they have a point. Members of the squad have gone even further in their inane anti-Israel rhetoric. It's all compounded by progressives' general opposition to impose meaningful consequences on any lawbreaker. In New York, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg dropped charges against nearly all the protesters who played Columbia University this spring. The madness won't end until Democrats come to their senses or voters boot them out of office. Well, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much for all of you that joined us. So many great comments. Boy, this show went fast. I also want to thank brand new Grand Ole Opry member, just got inducted back in May, T. Graham Brown, for being on the show. You can find out more at tgrahamBrown.com. The new album is From Memphis and to Muscle Shoals. I got to tell you, for any music fan out there, I can't wait to hear this. Just because if you look at the track list, I mean, it really is. I know we talked about it in our interview with him, but it really is just who's who of guests and just classic songs from It Tears Me Up, Take Me to the River, You Better Move On, Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, Soul Man, I'm Your Puppet, Walking the Dog, Who's Making Love, When a Man Loves a Woman, Slip Away, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Mustang Sally, The Dark End of the Street, and Knock on Wood. Those are the track list. Can't wait to hear that. That'll be out on August 2nd. So again, thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. Please join us every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. I look forward to it already. Have a great day, everyone.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription. Grab your Fox Sports app today.